I have always done what I can to survive. My parents doesn't care about me and I've been taking care of myself for as long as I can remember. No one has ever been there for me. I do everything I can to get back, even though I don't do prostitution. Sometimes I sleep with men for favors. This has been my life and I'm just doing the best I can. Recently, I started attending university and I met this girl we'll call Rita. We became very good friends quickly. Rita and I are opposites and normally I don't befriend girls like her. She's the quiet Christian type, whilst I am loud and very outgoing. I felt very comfortable with her since she doesn't talk a lot. I don't know much about her since she doesn't talk much about her life, but I knew she had a serious boyfriend. I, on the other hand, was quite open about my life. I felt there was nothing to be ashamed of. Although I didn't tell her all the details about my life, she saw the different men in my life and she knew I dated more than one man. Everything started when she told me she wanted to rent a place. I told her there was a vacant space at my apartment complex. I also told her the rent is a bit expensive. She asked me how I could afford it and I told her I had my ways. Despite the price, after Rita saw the apartment, she fell in love with it and told me she wanted to rent it. But her money was short. She had only 50% of the money. She asked me if I could top it up for her so that she would pay me later. I had the money, so I said yes. I thought I knew her and that is why I invited her into my space. But what happened next shocked me to my core. Part 2 is up. I gave Rita the money and she paid for her rent. A month later, she moved into the apartment complex. Our friendship even grew stronger after she moved in. Now, one day, she came to my apartment and saw the landlord leaving my room. She looked surprised and after he left, she asked me what was going on. I smiled and said, this is what I meant when I said I had my own way of surviving. She asked me point blank if I was sleeping with the landlord and I said yes. I offered the landlord certain services in exchange for living in the apartment free. She opened her mouth wide in shock and asked me if I was dating him. I told her no and that this was just like a transaction. She started advising me all of a sudden, asking me when I was going to stop doing all this. She told me I needed to change my way of life since this life was not the best for me. Now, this was one of the things I loved about her. She always corrected me and tried to make me make good choices. I loved that about her, but this was my life. And I knew I had to do this for some time till I got a good job after school. A week after this, Rita paid me back the money I had borrowed her. I was very surprised because I thought she said she didn't have the money. I asked her how she got it and she said she had gotten the money from her man. Since she didn't like being in debt, she just wanted to pay me back to free herself. Then soon, I started seeing that this girl's lifestyle have changed. She was changing wigs left and right and was always buying clothes. Whenever I asked her about where she was getting the money, she told me the money was coming from her man. She said he had gotten a good job and was now giving her more money. One day, I was in bed around 6 a.m. when I heard somebody banging on my door. Immediately, I received a text from Rita saying, please tell him you made me do it. Part 3 is up. I was still feeling sleepy and I didn't understand what was going on. I opened my door and it was this young man I had never seen before. Immediately he saw me, started raining insults on me. He called me names I cannot even write on here. I didn't understand what was going on. Like, who was this man? All of a sudden, Rita ran to this man and tried pulling him away. And all this while, he was still insulting me. Then he said that I was lucky he didn't beat women. That was the last straw. I also started giving it back to him. Like, why would you come to my home and start insulting me? Then he warned me to stay away from Rita. He said his girlfriend was not a prostitute like me, and that I should leave her alone or face the consequences. I looked at Rita and asked her what was going on. That is when this young man said that I've been influencing Rita to sleep with men for money. I looked at Rita in shock. What was he talking about? She used her hand to signal me to not say anything. She was silently begging me to keep quiet. But how do you expect me to just stand there and take insults for something I didn't do? I told her boyfriend I didn't know what he was talking about. I have never introduced Rita to any man. I had no idea what he was talking about. He turned to Rita and asked her what was going on. Long story short, his boyfriend found some messages between Rita and my landlord on her phone. Rita has been sleeping with this man for a while now, and that is why she has been changing her style left and right. After her boyfriend confronted her, she told him I forced her to sleep with this man. She has been telling her boyfriend all sorts of stories about me, like how I sleep with men for money, and how I've been forcing her to sleep with other men too. I was so shocked. And all this while, Rita was standing behind her boyfriend, begging me to say I was the one who influenced her to sleep with this man. I didn't even know at that point that it was her man who was taking care of her. He was the one paying her school fees and everything. She never really spoke much about her life, so I didn't really know a lot of things about her. I looked at her boyfriend and told him I had nothing to do with Rita sleeping around. I've not forced anyone to do anything. All of a sudden, Rita broke into tears, looked at me, and started begging me to tell him the truth. She said it was all my fault, and asked me why I was lying. Hey, I was like, what was going on here? Like, what is happening? Why is this girl accusing me of things I have not done? And at the end of the day, she's a grown-up woman. How can I force her to do something she doesn't want to do? true. Her boyfriend was actually believing her till I remember the text message she had sent me earlier that morning. I showed the message to him and he went quiet all of a sudden. I warned both of them to stay away from me and I banged the door. Later that evening, Rita came to me crying. She asked me how I could do this to her. She said I have ruined her life. She said her boyfriend had broken things off with her because of me. She was crying and begging me to tell him that the message was fake and that I was the one who asked her to do all the things that she did. She said everyone around knows what I do to survive and they know she's different. So if I say I'm the one who calls dates, they will believe me. She said this because during the confrontation with her boyfriend, other tenants in the house came out to watch what was going on. Like the audacity of this girl. She even started saying it was the devil who tempted her and that she was not that kind of person. I threw her out of my apartment and blocked her number. I don't know what she told some of our friends around, but they said that just in front of her boyfriend, I should have been a girl's girl and admitted that I was the one who was influencing her to do all these things. But why would I ever admit to something like this? Something I had no idea was happening. One girl even suggested I apologize to Rita. Like what? I just want to know if I'm the one at fault here. This follower needs your opinions, babes. Please drop some below. And don't forget to follow me for more story times. When my friend, who we will call Kate, announced in our friend group that she was getting married, my friends and I thought she was going to use me as a makeup artist. I'm a professional makeup artist. And so we were all shocked when she chose to use someone else instead. Now, I was not really that close to Kate. We went to the same school and have the same friends. And so even though I was hurt she didn't choose me, I just decided to let it go. Now, Kate has always been, how do I put this nicely, high maintenance. She's the type of person who needs to be in the center of attention all the time. And she has never been shy about putting others down to make herself feel superior. According to some of my friends, she chose not to hire me because I was not talented enough and my makeup was too loud. Now, I have actually done her makeup before a few years ago. A mutual friend was getting married and I did all my friends' makeup. When she asked me to do her own, I almost said no because I knew her. When I started doing her makeup, the entire time, she was pointing and finding out faults in the makeup even though I was not done. She even asked me if I was sure I knew how to blend. She said her eyeshadow didn't match her dress and she wanted to change the color. Like she had a problem with everything I did. It was exhausting, but I kept my cool and finished the look. When she saw the final results, she actually looked happy until she overheard someone complimenting me on how good she looked. She stopped smiling and she immediately started pointing out flaws in the makeup to anyone who would listen. I brushed what she did off, but it left a bad taste in my mouth. We all knew she was complicated and so I just let it go. And so in a way, when she didn't pick me to do her makeup on her wedding day, I was kind of relieved. Fast forward to her wedding, the makeup artist came and I went with my friends to our hotel to get ready. They all knew how to do their own makeup, so we were all doing our own thing. Now, I heard she paid this makeup artist a lot of money and I have seen the makeup artist's work. She was good. We had just finished dressing up when I received a call from a friend who was with Kate in her room. She told us they were done and that we should come and take some pictures with Kate before she goes out. Immediately, Kate saw my face. All hell broke loose. Part 2 is up. Now, immediately I saw Kate, I knew something was off about her makeup, but I kept my opinions to myself. At this point, Kate had not looked at me yet. Now, mind you, this makeup artist was a celebrity makeup artist. The foundation shade she used was way off. The contour was too harsh. And the falsies she used were too big for Kate's eyes. But again, not my problem, right? I could also see from the look on her face that she was not okay with the makeup look. I just had a soft, natural glam look on my face, nothing too flashy. The photographer asked us all to stand in a semicircle. And as Kate walked towards us, she took one look at me and lost it. She pulled me aside and said, "You need to clean off your makeup. You look more beautiful than me. And you are trying to steal my spotlight." I was so shocked that I couldn't even speak immediately. Because wait, first of all, I wasn't trying to upstage her. I was just being me. And second, if she was unhappy with her makeup, that is on her and the artist she hired. I wanted to give it to her back to back, but it was her day and I didn't want to ruin it for her. I calmly told her no. I wasn't going to wipe off my makeup because she felt insecure. She didn't take that well. She started crying instead and accused me of ruining her day. A few of her friends jumped in, saying I should have just done what she asked to keep the peace. One of them even said, "It is her day. You should have known better than to look so good." Like, excuse me. Since when is looking presentable a crime? Things got even messier when Kate's mom got involved. I blame myself for not leaving at this point. She came up to me and said, "I know you are good at what you do, but can't you just tone it down a little?" Kate has been so stressed about this wedding and now she's upset. I felt bad for her mom. She seemed genuinely worried, but I stood my ground. I told her I wasn't trying to cause trouble, but I wasn't going to change my appearance to make someone else feel better. I had had enough, so I just took my bag and left. Kate was crying uncontrollably at this point. My friends didn't want me to go, but I didn't want to stay there. The negativity was too much for me. After the wedding, the drama didn't stop. Kate posted on her status about fake friends who tried try to steal your spotlight on your big day. A few of my friends knew this post was about me. But honestly, I don't think I did anything wrong. I didn't insult her. I didn't try to outshine her. I just existed. So I just want to know if I am the asshole for refusing to clean off my makeup at her wedding. Was I supposed to cater for her insecurities, or was I right to stand my ground? Please let me know, because this whole issue is driving me crazy. This follower needs your opinions, babes. Please drop some below. And don't forget to follow me for more story times. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings, and my mom raised us single-handedly. After my dad walked out when I was 10, this woman worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs, just to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. She sacrificed everything for us, and I've always admired her strength. When I finally landed a good paying job last year, the first thing I wanted to do was to take care of her. I retired her in February and paid off all her debts. I just wanted to ensure that she never had to worry about money again. It felt amazing to give back to the woman who gave us everything. My 2 siblings were both in the university at this point, so she was living alone. Now, in August last year, I bought her a car for her birthday. It was nothing fancy. I just wanted her to be able to get around without relying on public transportation. I took her to the driving school and everything, and she passed. She was very, very happy because she has always wanted a car, but she couldn't afford it. I felt like I'd finally done something right. But then things started getting weird. A month after I gave her the car, she called me in tears saying it had been stolen. I was devastated for her and immediately filed a police report. Now, before we went to the police station, I asked her how the car was stolen, and what she told me didn't make sense. She kept changing the details of the story. Nothing she was saying was making sense. When we got to the police station and they started interviewing her, the cops were skeptical. She said the car was stolen from a compound, but apparently there were no signs of forced entry, and she claimed the main gate was locked. They even asked her if she had sold the car, but she swore up and down that she hadn't. Even though her story didn't make sense, I believed her. Why wouldn't I? This was my mom. But what happened next a couple of months later showed me that I didn't know this woman like the way I thought I did. Part 2 is up. After my mom's car was stolen, more strange things started happening. I always give her a monthly allowance to cover her bills and groceries, but she'd call me halfway through the month saying the money was all gone. Sometimes she would claim the money was stolen, or that she has misplaced it. And this woman was living all alone. She was only looking after herself. I started to get suspicious. My mom has always been careful with money. She had to be, raising 3 kids on her own. This wasn't like her at all. I tried to talk to her about it, but she'll get defensive and shut down the conversation. My siblings noticed it too. They said she had been acting strange, staying out late, dressing differently, and spending hours on the phone. One day I closed from work and I decided to pass through her place. She told me she'll be in the house that evening. After I got there, I knocked and waited. She came out a few seconds later, and when she saw me, she asked me why I didn't call her before I came over. I told her I just wanted to check up on her. This woman told me she was not in the mood for company and that she wasn't feeling well. She said she just wanted to rest and that I should go. I wanted a bottle of water from the fridge, so I opened the door to go for it, and she stopped me. She told me to wait outside, and she went to take the bottle of water for me herself. Then she told me to go and that she'll call me when she wakes up. She went inside and locked the door after her. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but something felt off. I called my sister and she said my mom did the same thing to her a few days ago. I just wanted to get to the bottom of it, so one day I decided to drop by her house unannounced. I had my own set of keys. I told myself I was just checking in, but deep down I knew I was looking for answers. The door was not locked, so I walked into the house without knocking, and what I saw, I still can't process it. Part 3 is up. I intentionally entered into my mom's house quietly. I wanted to see what was really going on. After I entered into her living room, I heard some voices coming from her bedroom. Her bedroom door was open, so I tiptoed to check what was going on inside. And I wish I hadn't. My mom was in bed with a young guy, probably my age, and they were doing the nasty on the bed. Her face went pale when she saw me. I froze immediately. My mom started stammering, trying to explain, but I couldn't even look at her. I just turned around and left. She called me throughout that day, but I didn't pick her calls. I don't know why, but in a way, I didn't even want to hear explanations. I was too angry, too confused. The next day, I picked her call and she begged me to come over so she could explain. Against my better judgment, I went. When I got there, she was alone. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. She sat me down and told me everything. Apparently, the guy I saw, let's call him G, is her boyfriend. They've been together for 6 months. She claims they are in love. I was speechless. My mom, the woman who raised me, is dating a guy my age. I couldn't wrap my head around it, but it gets worse. She admitted that she sold the car I bought her and gave the money to Jake to start a business. She said he had a big idea and she wanted to support him. I lost it. I told her he's using her. That is probably just after her money, but she wouldn't listen. She kept saying it's different, that he loves her, and that I don't understand. I asked her about the missing money, and she admitted she has been giving it to him too. She said he promised to pay her back once his business takes off. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm losing my mom to this guy. She has always been so strong, so independent. But now she's throwing everything away for someone who is clearly taking advantage of her. I've tried talking to her, but she won't listen. She says I'm being judgmental and that I don't trust her judgment. My siblings are just as upset as I am. We've all tried talking to her, but she refuses to see reason. She's even started avoiding us, spending all her time with Jay. I don't know how to help her. Part of me wants to cut her off financially, but I'm worried she will just rely on Jay even more. Another part of me wants to confront him, but I know that will only push her further away. I'm at a loss. How do I save my mom from this mess? How do I make her see that she's being used? Or am I the one who is wrong here? I don't know what to do anymore. Please help me. This follower needs your advice, babes. Please drop some below and don't forget to follow me for more story times.